Whatever happened to incursions? The first thing that may come to mind for you is, well, fitmc said Sato said they were dead, or incursions are just a meme now. However, is this really the case? Just because the guy who made the first one, and some dude who has a few YouTube subscribers said so, should we all just listen to them? Well, that's for you to decide. I would say no, however, that's not really the point of this video, as in this video, I want to tell you the story of what happened to incursions after their quote-unquote death. As many of you might know, a player by the name of Jared2013 has just started a new incursion, but I will get to that later on in the video. For now, I want to cover the controversial topic of the purge, and I think we should first talk about how the purge was originally created. The last few years on 2b2t have had a very common trend when it comes to YouTuber invasions. When Russia joined, Team Veteran. When Antvenom joined, the 6th incursion. When Fuse 3 joined, the 7th incursion. Every time a YouTuber joins, there has always been a large group of players trying to defeat them and get them off the server. This trend proved to continue when Etika joined. However, since fitmc had recently declared the incursion name as dead, some random player, who wasn't really known in the community, decided to make a Discord server called the Recursion. This was only minutes after Etika joined, and so when people were getting scared that Etika was joining and went to find a Discord where people were getting ready to fight, they found the Recursion Discord, and within a few hours, the server had hundreds of members in it. Everything seemed to be perfectly normal until the leaders and council of large 2b2t groups, Imperium and the Spawn Masons, got power hungry, as they wanted to get the clout and control over kicking Etika off of the server. And so they started to think of ways to get complete control over the new Spawn invasion. Their plan? To completely destroy the Recursion Discord before making their own, forcing players to switch. They did this by slowly convincing the player that owned the Recursion Discord that he would need help and guidance to succeed as a modern incursion. And so over time, they eventually gained more and more power as the guy was trusting them. However, as soon as the Imperium and Spawn Mason higher-ups were granted admin privileges in the Discord, they banned everyone from the Discord server whilst spamming a new link for the new Purge Discord, so everyone would have no choice but to join, as it was the first thing they saw after being banned from the Recursion. Whilst this was a very shitty thing to do on their part, the Purge itself arguably wasn't all that bad, and even I supported them for a while, even though I personally dislike the Imperium. The fact that a 2b2t faction ran the Purge may have been a good thing, as everything was incredibly well organised. However, the downside of being a big group on 2b2t is a lot of people hate you, and in Imperium's case, basically everyone who isn't in the group for the most part has some kind of disliking towards them. While this is pretty normal on 2b2t, as it is an anarchy server after all, when a large group like Imperium starts a massive event that is supposed to bring the community together, there are gonna be a lot of people trying to take it down for personal reasons. And this, my friends, is how anti-incursions are born. If you didn't know what an anti-incursion was, for whatever reason, it's basically a group of people that want to destroy the incursion and undo all of its progress, whilst still apparently fighting back the enormous amounts of players joining. This to me sounds pretty counterintuitive, and let's use the anti-incursion for the Purge as an example. So pretty much, an anti-incursion is comprised of 3 main types of people. The first being people who were kicked out of the incursion for either fair or unfair reasons, mostly usually because of a bias that the incursion leaders have. The second, people that completely hate the players running the incursion. And thirdly, just your average spawn fag that can't go 5 minutes without trying to shove a 32k sword up someone else's ass. Putting these 3 types of people together, as you can imagine, can create a very interesting group. And to try to destroy the Purge, their main goals were just to kill any Purge members they saw at spawn and destroy the lava curtain that the Purge had constructed in the previous days. They did do this, and the lava curtain was given up by the Purge eventually, as it would be pointless trying to protect it 24/7. However, whilst good for clout, Purge members could just respawn and grab another kit so they could get back to trapping portals and lagging people out. Everyone seems to have a different opinion on this, but in my eyes, I think the anti-incursion basically completely failed to destroy the Purge, as even before Etika took his own life, he hadn't streamed or made any 2b2t content for weeks, probably because every time he tried to stream, the server would be made totally unplayable from the Purge's lag machines. Q, whilst still high from 2b2t's recent exposure in Taiwan, is a lot lower than what it was during the Etika invasion, and lowering the Q is one of the main reasons why groups like the Incursion and the Purge exists. In the end, I think we can all agree that the Purge did a at least decent job of reducing the player count when Etika joined. However, they really haven't done anything since that, especially since the new exposure that 2b2t has had in Taiwan. This is for two reasons, and I hinted at one of them in the beginning of the video, but the one I would like to cover first is ultimately boredom. And you may be thinking, well, of course people will eventually get bored of trapping portals and lagging the server, but that's always going to be the case. I mean it in a different way. You see, the Incursions are big events, which requires players from all different sides of 2b2t's player base, and it's almost a given that a lot of these players won't exactly be friendly to one another, thanks to faction rivalry and just the nature of the player base. Most people can handle a temporary alliance for the greater good, however, there's gonna be a point where people just get bored and want to start PvPing each other at spawn again. This obviously would rip the Purge apart, and so to avoid this happening, the Purge decided that they would officially stop until a later date when they are truly needed. Nobody knows how this will turn out as of now because of course there thankfully haven't been any big YouTubers recently. Well, not a big YouTuber really, more like a fat chunk of the Taiwanese Minecraft YouTuber base. Either way, whilst normal queue is staying about the same, it sucks for me and the fellow priority queue users, as it seems all these Ching Chong people are pretty rich and can afford priority queue. However, 2b2t isn't exactly just letting them in without a fight, and this is what brings me to the topic of the 8th incursion. This incursion is led by a player named Jared2013, and just its existence is a big fuck you to everyone that says the incursion is dead. Whilst Jared has had some questionable experience running incursions in the past, he has actually gotten quite a lot of support from the community this time. This could be because this incursion has some key differences to the ones of the past, and one of them is the fact that the incursion wasn't really sparked by one event. The large amount of new Asian players has had some influence over it, however the point wasn't really just to stop the new players, which I think is key for an incursion to succeed in modern day 2b2t. The thing is, most incursions of the past since Russia have been all about getting rid of a YouTuber or stopping large amounts of new players from playing on the server. But you gotta remember that an incursion by definition is literally just a sudden raid or attack. And what is the 8th incursion doing? They are doing a sudden attack on spawn. But you may be thinking, well, if there's no reason really to call an incursion, then why are so many people supporting it? And well, think of it this way. The main two goals for the 8th incursion is A, destroy all terrain and lava casts down to bedrock within a 1000 by 1000 block radius, and then fill the entire thing up with water source blocks, turning spawn into a huge water cube. Will this really stop any new players? Probably not. In fact, it could even make it easier for them, as they can just swim up and escape spawn like that. But it gives people something to do, and something to be accomplished in the summer season. And that is why I think a lot of people are helping the incursion. I know that this could sound a little biased, and that's probably because I am. I am personally in the incursion and have helped out a little bit here and there, and done my part. And I gotta say, blowing up lava casts with 20 other people at once was very enjoyable, and while the incursion still has a long way to go in terms of emptying out spawn, I think that if goals are achieved, at the end of the day, it's gonna be pretty cool seeing what a large amount of players can achieve it, because this is no easy task. Another thing that's pretty interesting about this new incursion is the fact that there hasn't really been any force or anti-incursion to combat it, which is surprising considering a lot of the members of the incursion are very anti-Imperium people. However, the only attempts that have been made to form an anti-incursion have completely failed within hours. Now, coming to a conclusion, I have no idea what the fate of the 8th incursion will be. In fact, by the time this video comes out, it could already be long forgotten, but even if it were to stop right now, I would still think of it as a success, as it pretty much showed that having a non-meme incursion in this new era of 2BTT crowded with factions and new players can still be achieved. From the very beginning, incursions have always been a prominent part of the 2BTT culture, and I would personally like to keep it that way. It's one of the only things on 2B2T that can create so many friendships on this shithole of a server, and it really does show the power of what can happen when so many block game retards work together. And that, my friends, was the story of what happened after fitmc dubbed Incursions Did. At the end here, I would like to give a quick disclaimer that on 2BTT, it's truly impossible to get all of your info right, so if you guys think I missed out some key information, I would really appreciate it if you were to tell me in the comments section. Regardless, since my last documentary type video did really fucking well, I thought I would try it again, and although these videos take so fucking long to make, I do enjoy making them for you people, and I will be enabling monetization so I can buy a priority queue next month. If you enjoyed too, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe if you would like to see more of this type of content in the future. Oh, and I have a Discord server, which you should definitely check out because I notify everyone whenever I stream or upload, and I just like talking to you lot, so I'll drop a link in the description for that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe. Peace.